We are Get Up. I'm Greeny. The Big Swagoo, Domonique, and Jeff Saturday all here. So it was easier to say when there were 16 games rather than 17, but we're basically a quarter of the way through the season, so it's a reasonable time to take a stock of where we stand with everything. So right this minute, Swagoo, who's the MVP of the league?
Christian McCaffrey. Listen, what he's doing in San Francisco right now is unreal. First of all, he's changed. Think about how good this offense was. He's changed the offense for Kyle Shanahan. Shanahan has the freedom to call any offensive play he wants to, not only because Christian McCaffrey is a safety valve, but most of the time, running backs in this offense, it's 4.5 yards before they get touched by a defender. I think CMC should make a real push at the MVP. We say it's a quarterback trophy, but right now he's getting in the end zone at a high clip.
So I ain't going far from it. Same team, but I'm going with a quarterback because that's who's going to win it, right? Brock Purdy. How about Purdy in this conversation? Listen, in the last 2 seasons, he's thrown the most tight window throws in the NFL. This guy is more than pulling his weight. Everybody wants to give it to CMC, give it to the defense. Obviously, the quarterback plays a large part in this offense, whether it's distribution, however you want to look at it. But I'm going Brock Purdy because quarterbacks win this award.
I'm normally the one who comes with the curveball. I'm going with the right down the middle one. The best quarterback in football right now is Josh Allen. Josh Allen's the MVP. And you see guys like, you made the point, you see what that offense looks like without Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah.
We saw how bad the entire Bills team is when Josh Allen don't play right. When Josh Allen plays well, they beat people by 40. When Josh Allen plays poorly, they lose in overtime to Zach Wilson. He is the most valuable player on that team right now.
No, I agree. Look, Josh Allen has won all 4 games he's played this year. He just won one of them for the other team with the 4 turnovers against the Jets. If for what it's worth, I would vote for Allen right now if I had to vote. All right, who's the best team in the NFL?
San Francisco 49ers. I mean, we got 2 MVPs on the damn show right now between Brock Purdy and Christian McCaffrey. Defensively, offensively, I think they've played the most consistent football. We've had offenses that are more explosive. We've had defenses that have been very good. But when you look at a week-in, week-out sample size, San Francisco 49ers are the best team because they're the most consistent, and you can bet on what you're going to get from them weekly more than you can from any other team in the league.
This was a close one for me, and this was for me between the Eagles and the Niners. I'm going with the Eagles because, to his point, I think they've been the most consistent.
The Niners, you mean? Yeah.
I mean, sorry, the Niners. Yeah. But I would. The Eagles and Niners for me are the closest. Both offense and defensive lines have been dominating. They've made explosive plays. All the things that are going to transition and continue in the latter part of the season if you want to go to the Super Bowl. So I like both those squads, but I'm going San Fran.
I'm sticking with the Bills. If you guys will allow us all to memory erase that first game, since then, the Bills have been incredible. And it's not like they just came out of nowhere. This has been a consistently great team that is as good as anybody in football when their quarterback is playing really well. So they may not have the best resume up until this point, but right now, neutral field, one of Greedy's favorite questions, neutral field, I feel better about the Bills than I do about just about anybody.
I can't argue with that. The name I'll throw into this, just sort of from a forward-thinking perspective, watch the Lions. I find the Lions a fascinating team, and I think as the season goes on, there's just something.
They're tough out.
I feel like there's a little magic going on in Detroit. What up, though? To our previous point.
I knew he was setting
just
it
trying
up.
to find a way to get it in. Listen. I know everything about the 3-1-3. All right, finally, biggest disappointment in the league so far that the quarter way through the season.
I got the Bengals, man. I got the Bengals, and I think it's obviously. No, I'm sorry. I got the Vikings.
Wow, either way it works.
I omitted the Bengals because of Joe Burrow's injury.
Yeah.
I was thinking about that. The Minnesota Vikings. Look, this team has been Jekyll and Hyde. We talked about it last year with them winning games closely at the end and saying, how long will this luck last? And we saw it run out really quick when they got into the playoffs. It's just a disappointment from Kirk Cousins and this offense. The turnovers, defensively, I know they had a turnover to win a game, but they've been inconsistent with Brian Flores coming in as defense coordinator. The problem with the Minnesota Vikings is they can score 40 or they can give up 60. And you don't know what team is going to show up to the stadium. So they've been a major disappointment, especially in the NFC when 8 spots, the top 8 spots shouldn't be hard to get into the playoffs.
Agreed. I'm going to go with the Joneses, Mac Jones and Daniel Jones. And I'm not throwing all of these teams' problems, whether it's the Patriots or the Giants, at these 2 feet, but I think we all had expectations, especially Daniel Jones last season, the way they finished up going to the playoffs. I think people had an expectation this offense with Brian Daboll would look different than it has. I mean, this team has scored, 9 points in the first half all season? They've really played one decent half of football against, a new coach, a backup quarterback, all those things against the Cardinals. It just looks ugly. And now we got this issue with Mac Jones. By the way, I put a large part of that towards Bill Belichick because of what he did with the coordinators last season. But he, when you had expectations for the first year you make the playoffs and it has descended since then, that is not a good look. So the Joneses for me.
I'm gonna go with the AFC North. Like, I think we were thinking that this division was shaping up to be one of the most competitive. A lot of us were started believing in the Steelers. They haven't quite put that offense on the field that we had hoped to see. The injury to the Bengals, to Joe Burrow, and the Bengals is put them behind. Tons of injuries to the Ravens, and obviously the offense of the Browns still hasn't come around to the expectations. Their defense has been great, but just that whole division I thought was going to be.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be a
and
gun.
it doesn't look like it.
No, I'm with you. None of those teams have wound up looking as good as we thought they might. And to me, the biggest disappointment has been that we only got to see 4 plays of Aaron Rodgers for the New York Jets at the beginning of the season. I can't think of anything that could ever have disappointed me more. Don't forget, you can watch Get Up every weekday morning on ESPN between 8 and 10 a.m. Eastern.